Yay, fantastic. Cool, thank you very much. Great, I'll put that over there. So hi, I'm Colin, I'm the CTO of Scott Logic, and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about AI. Now, personally, I think it's been a bit of a whirlwind journey over the past couple of years within the field of AI specifically. Generative AI is touching pretty much every aspect of our business and personal lives. Models are becoming more powerful. You've probably seen that O1 or Strawberry was released a couple of weeks ago with even greater reasoning capabilities. But there's a bit of a gap at the moment between what's promised and what we are effectively able to deliver with AI. The question I want to ask is, how do we take these astonishing experiments and turn them into something safe and reliable that we can ultimately trust in the wild? As the slide says, how do we go from prototype to production? So I'll start with a question. Has GenAI delivered on its promise? So hands up if GenAI is delivering for you. You've got it into production. Now, I can't see you for the lights, so for the sake of argument, I'm going to assume all your hands are down because that better fits my narrative. I saw that one hand over there. I know who you are. In all fairness, we are at the very early stages of this technology, and many of you are going to be working in organizations where you genuinely do have to be exercising some caution. And if you look at the broader industry and ask, is it in production? Is it delivering on its promise for other organizations? The answer is pretty much no for many at the moment. There was a Gartner survey about 6 months ago where they discovered 70% of people of organizations are investigating AI, 15% piloting, 5% in production. And here's another one I found, again, showing about 10% of organizations have something in production. But this is something I found really quite interesting. McKinsey have a report a survey they undertake on generative AI, and they've been doing this for a couple of years running. And they ask respondents whether they regularly use generative AI tools. And you can see from 2023 to 24, sectors like legal and media have seen a significant uptick in the amount of use of generative AI tools. As you can imagine, they're quite sort of text-heavy industries. Financial services is an outlier. Our increase in adoption has flatlined, which is, I think, understandable yet quite surprising. However, there have been some generative AI success stories. There are organizations getting this in production. For example, Pack and Save, the grocery store from New Zealand, created a recipe bot that allows you to create recipes using things like human flesh. Google recently launched an AI recommendation feature that advised people to stick cheese to pizza with glue to stop it sliding off. DPD had a chatbot that you can encourage to swear and compose poems about how poor their service is. A Chevrolet car dealership had a chat app where someone convinced it to sell them a car for $1 using the social engineering attack of no-takesies backsies, which I thought was awesome. Funnily enough, in a similar situation earlier this year, Air Canada were actually forced to honor a refund deal offered by their chatbot. So if you haven't got it in production yet, maybe you're saving yourself quite a bit of hassle. So why is this such a unique challenge? New technology adoption is hard. It's always been hard. But there are certain aspects of generative AI that I think make it harder than many of the new technologies we've seen in the past. And it's interesting. We've been using AI for decades. Within financial services, we've been using AI for decades and would widely be considered as having some of the greatest AI experts. Why is generative AI so different? Well, there are a couple of features of this technology that are genuinely different. First is it's a different kind of AI to that which we typically use within financial services. It's generative and it's creative, whereas historically we've used AI, which is predictive numerical modeling. But more importantly, a significant feature of generative AI is it's now in the hands of everyone. Whether you're a developer, a tester, a designer, or even a citizen, it's now in the hands of everyone. It's not confined to the data scientists that work in their little room somewhere. And an important point there is it's now in the hands of users who are not used to working with AI systems. They're not data scientists. They're not used to working with this type of technology. And some of the features of this technology which make it challenging are the fact that it's non-deterministic and it's unpredictable. And on the flip side, this is what actually gives it some of its most creative features. But for a developer, an OpenAI user, developers hate non-determinism. We strive for 100% test passes. We simply struggle to accommodate this. For citizens, for ChatGPT users, they simply find this confusing. As a society, we're used to having computers tell us the right answers. We expect it to be right. We find computers telling us things that are wrong and factually incorrect quite unsettling. So that's one of the significant reasons why this is a hard technology to adopt. But I think there's an even bigger challenge for us within the software industry. I think the biggest challenge is that it's actually one of the most rapid prototyping tools we've seen. And that doesn't sound like it's a challenge. That sounds like it should actually be a feature. But we see the consequences of this playing out time and time again. Now, I was thinking of doing a demonstration. Now, who wants to see a live demo of a non-deterministic AI system on a probably contested Wi-Fi network? Or who wants to see a canned demo? Wi-Fi. Demo. OK, let's give the demo a go. And a second problem is the monitors are really far away and my glasses are nowhere near good enough. So this is going to be interesting. So let's say, for example, that I work at an organization called Pack and Save. And I've had this great idea. You know, we are an online grocery store. Why don't we have a recipe recommendation engine on our grocery store that will allow people to create recipes and then they can add things to the shopping cart? Wouldn't that be cool? How quickly can I actually build that? Now, I can't see my cursor over there. Hang on. That works. Is the network working? Yes. OK. So what I've said is, this is just ChatGPT. You're a recipe bot. Given a set of ingredients, come up with a punchy name, a brief and light-hearted summary of the recipe, and an ingredients list. I'll give you the ingredients as my next command. OK? Got it. I'm ready for your ingredients whenever you are. Let's cook up something fun. Woo. OK, so that's it. I've built this application already. Ingredients. Any ideas? Garlic. Yeah, that sounds good. I can spell that. Yes, I can. Anything else? Fish. That sounds... I'm a vegan. OK, great. Anything else? Olive oil. OK. You're all a little bit conventional in your thinking. Come on, let's think outside of the box. What's that, sorry? Anxiety. Oh, I like that. Anxiety. Cool. I mean, I was hoping someone was going to say human flesh, but I'll go with anxiety. Let's give that a go. Ooh, garlicky fish with a dash of calm thyself. Oh, that is cool. Okay, so, is this on? Feeling a little stressed? Let this simple flavor-packed dish whisk away your worries. The garlic is bold, the fish is tender, the olive oil is pure Mediterranean magic. So garlic, fillets of your favorite fish, olive oil, sprinkle salt and pepper to taste, fresh herbs. That's pretty good. So effectively, I've rapid prototyped exactly what Pack and Save launched on their website. So that does sound like a fantastic feature. So why is that such a problem? Well, the problem is, in the controlled environment of a prototype, you're using a controlled set of inputs. You're not testing the boundaries of the system. And when you launch that onto the website and people start typing in human flesh or anxiety, it starts to produce quite unpredictable results. So that's the canned demo, which I didn't need. So how do we go into production? How do we avoid being the next DPD, the next Pack and Save, and so on? I think the first step is really quite simple. It might sound somewhat condescending, but I think the first step is to just start using this technology. I'm actually surprised at how few people are personally experimenting with ChatGPT. You should all be personally experimenting with it. Otherwise, how can you understand the nuances, the strengths and weaknesses of this technology? You have to explore the creativity and the non-determinism. That's the first thing. The next thing, this one's a little bit subtle, but I think we need to reconsider the way that we actually relate to this technology. Anyone who's used ChatGPT will find that it's really quite human. On a one-to-one basis, it may feel like you're working with an intern or, in the legal industry, a paralegal. We need to find a way to allow our computers to be creative without penalizing their mistakes. I think if we can get to that position, we will be able to create much more powerful solutions. Another thing I think people really need to do is start with the hard stuff. And I think it's probably easier to illustrate with an example. And this is how a lot of prototype to production stories go. they'll do a little bit of messing around with the generative AI, and then they'll go, great, we've cracked it. And they'll get onto the boring database, the mundane API layer, a conventional web app, and they'll build it and they'll put it in production. You shouldn't do that until you've built the GenAI part properly. You have to tame the generative AI part of your system before you do all the conventional junk that stands around it. So how do we do that? Well, within software engineering, of course we know how to do this. Testing is the key to successful software engineering, regardless of whether it uses generative AI or not. Something I've observed a great many times for people working with generative AI systems is something I call prompt engineering whack-a-mole. They will continually start changing the prompt to yield the result that they expect, and if they hit it once, they think they've reached their end goal. Now, this is okay for prototyping, but for production systems, they need to serve a wide range of use cases. You need to feed them with a large number of different test cases to be sure that it's going to perform correctly in the wild. You need to create evaluation criteria. You need to work out how to describe the behavior that you want of the system and test it in an automated fashion. This is a relatively new field, but there are various tools that are already emerging that help you automate this. Another thing you have to do is break down complexity. Again, another issue I've observed is something I call monolithic prompts. You find people adding more and more to their prompt to try to shift the AI system into a certain mode of behavior. Now, this isn't good engineering. If this was a Python code or Java code and it was 5 screens long, the first thing you'd do is tell someone they need to refactor it. That's not the way to engineer a system. Exactly the same applies to AI. You need to break down your problem into separate steps. And you may find that some of those steps are entirely deterministic and simplify the problem. So, for example, if you're creating the recipe bot, you could split it up into the task of creating a name, creating the list of ingredients. You could create separate tasks, each with their own test suites. And finally, manage the risks. Now, this is a big one, and I've only got -4 minutes left. Wow, I didn't get long. Okay, I've got -4 minutes left, so I'm going to pretty much pay lip service to this. But in brief, you have to model your system. You have to understand the threats. You have to understand the risks. You have to determine what are the controls that you need to put in place to address those. And also, you need to be specific. Hallucination is too vague. You need to start describing the behaviors you want of your system. You need to capture those as tests and then evaluate the performance of your system, both with and without the controls that you're developing. And it's the same with safe and responsible. I get a little bit tired of people saying, oh, we need safe AI and responsible AI. Give that requirement to a developer, an engineer, and they don't know what to do with it. Again, we need to describe the way that we want our system to perform in the language of the system itself. So finally, to recap, GenAI is disruptive, but almost everyone is struggling with how to use it. We're all learning together how to make the most of this technology. My advice to you in moving from prototype to production is to focus on the hard part. Focus on the generative AI part first. Don't build anything else until you've worked that bit out. Work out your evaluation criteria and how to automate it, tackle the complexity, and again, rely on the engineering muscle that we've built up for many years. All of the skills that we already have do apply to AI if we think about it. And finally, understand, document, and mitigate the risks. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and go out and have fun building GenAI systems. Thank you.